Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Brill, and today we're continuing this journey into UXR, or user experience research, and we've got a couple of great guests joining us again. Number one being Jesse Livingston, who's really going to walk us through this UXR journey. Jesse, it's so great to have you back.
Great to be back, Bobby. Thank you. Yeah, UXR is a really unique team. We are unique in the respect that we are talking not primarily to buyers or decision makers. We do sometimes, but the main target are end users, people who are using the product day in and day out. And so the unique kind of function that team has is to make sure we at ServiceNow are in touch with the day-to-day experience of the people using our product. And so the people you're going to hear talking today about some of the insights that they've gathered through user interviews with customers using our products are going to be from those people. And it's important that we kind of communicate those to you to show you how customers are making an impact in our product.
Well, that's great. And let's take a quick second to introduce those two people, and we're going to go more in depth with them a little bit later. So first, I want to welcome Eric Leo. Welcome.
Hi, Bobby. Thank you. Glad to be here.
And our next guest, who will be Tori Morrison. So great to see you.
Hi, great to be here.
So you briefly mentioned, Jesse, why we're highlighting research. Tell me a little bit about some of the initiatives that are underway here at ServiceNow to bring research into this user experience.
Yeah, happy to. So the typical relationship that user research has with participants is, they come in, they get their incentive, and then they go on their merry way. But something we've heard consistently from customers at ServiceNow is, hey, what did you learn from me? And what did you do with that learning? That is something we want to help answer. And so the reason we're here today is to help answer that question. What did we learn from you and what did we do with it? So that we can kind of help create a less transactional relationship with the customers participating in research and more of a partnership.
And that makes sense because the customer is really using this day in, day out with lots of people and figuring out all of the ways to make it, break it, and make it even better that sometimes maybe we don't even see all of this stuff because we're not using it as much as they are. I want to start off here with you, Eric, and I want you to really walk us through your area of expertise and introduce yourselves to us here. And we're going to talk about AI Control Tower, which we know is one of the flagship pillars, whatever metaphor we want to use to describe this great tool. Eric, introduce yourself and tell us about your experience here at ServiceNow.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Eric Liu, and I'm a senior staff UX researcher on the AI UX research team at ServiceNow. My focus area include generative AI, agentic AI governance, and of course, more recently, AI Control Tower.
Tell us about AI Control Tower. Why does this product need to exist?
So with the recent advancement and very well-deserved hype around AI, a lot of organizations are really trying to adopt AI as fast as possible. But of course, with how fast everyone is moving, it can be a bit difficult to keep track of everything that's going on around AI in a company, and even harder to make sure everything is done properly. So they're not only compliant with different regulations, but are also ethical and responsible. And in addition, companies want to look ahead and plan for a long-term AI strategy instead of always being reactive to all the changes in the technology. So this is where AI Control Tower comes in and is here to help customer in those areas.
Yeah, it's one of those things where now we've all accepted AI and we all use AI every day, and we're probably using a dozen or more AI tools without even realizing it at this point. Give me an example of one of the customer needs that you identified from the research.
Yeah, exactly like you were saying earlier, Bobby. A lot of us are using AI without even realizing it. And of course, like one of the biggest challenges that we hear from our customers is just to understand what capabilities an organization has internally. Mostly because how fast these organizations are adopting AI, a lot of the times there's only minimum documentation, if at all, on the AI being adopted and developed. So, for example, at a company, one team may have heard about one AI tool and decided to start using that. Another team may choose to buy a different one that does similar things. And there might be like a third and fourth team may each be developing something internally from scratch. So for a lot of these companies, these capabilities are not centrally managed or tracked. So it's very difficult to get a complete picture of what's there, let alone managing and governing AI. And there really weren't any good tools designed to help with this either. So we know many companies are just using spreadsheets to manually track things and having to get creative and use tools that are really not designed for the AI age. So to address this, one of the core features in AI Control Tower is providing an AI inventory to give customers visibility into their entire AI landscape so they can monitor and manage all the AI in a single place. It is also connected to different systems, so information on these assets can be updated automatically.
We all laugh when you said, people are using an Excel spreadsheet, and it's just an interesting way when we think about all this. When it comes to AI, it's like, it's the top of the heap and of technological breakthrough. And it's like, well, grab some Post-it notes and start writing out what we're going to do, because we just haven't quite figured out how this is going to go forward. This has to be a Herculean feat for a lot of companies. When it comes to governance, explain that concept, because I know a lot of us have heard it, but this idea of AI governance and how companies are trying to do it, for lack of a better term.
So, at a very high level, AI governance is the framework and also practice to ensure AI is developed and used quote unquote the right way. So some examples include making sure it's ethical to prevent things like bias and discrimination towards one demographic over another, and of course ensure it's safe. It's safe, so it doesn't do things that it's not supposed to do, or accidentally share information about other people that it's not supposed to share. It can also include things like ensuring AI is bringing value to an organization and is being used most effectively and efficiently.
So the big question has to be, why is this so difficult? Why is this a challenge for companies when it comes to governing AI?
In addition to what we discussed earlier, so just the difficulty of understanding what AI capabilities there are in the company, one other thing we've heard from user research is really with how fast the AI space is moving. AI-related regulations and policies are also changing very rapidly. So we heard customers say what's okay to do when some of the AI capabilities were first implemented may not be compliant anymore today. And what's okay to do today may not be okay to do tomorrow when a new regulation comes out. So companies are really having a hard time keeping up to date with AI policies and staying compliant. So so to address that, AI Control Tower is really here to provide the ability to define all their AI policies in one place, proactively manage and monitor their AI assets to again ensure they are compliant, and also report on things like AI regulations, so we can notify our customers when there are new regulations they need to take into consideration.
Well, I mean, this is an exciting kind of new vein of gold when it comes to AI, where it's not just, okay, let's be generative and make cool stuff, but it's like, well, how do we make this AI safe? How do we make this AI useful? How do we make this AI work within a corporation? Um, how how do you even attack something like this from a research perspective? How do you work with our customers and find the right ways to develop what is useful to them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, of course, I'm always interested in a new and exciting space like this. But I'd say one unique thing and also a challenge we faced with research was just the limited customer available for us to talk to. Again, mostly because of just how new the space is. So we had to get pretty creative when doing research. So, for example, instead of trying to talk directly to our customers who might use a tool like AI Control Tower, I started by looking at existing industry reports from research firms to see what some of the top trends are in this space. And then I talked to some of the industry experts to further understand their process, tools, needs, and pain points. So that later, when I did talk to our customers, I could stay focused and deep dive to get very targeted insights. I think this led to much more effective research that helped our product team make product decisions.
I mean, that's a pretty fascinating way to look at research is working from the inside out, so to speak. Would that be the correct way of looking at it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
When users are thinking about using AI tools, so we have AI Control Tower, which is going to make that system work a lot better. What are some of the things that we should be thinking about to get the best from our AI?
I think one thing is to really change the mindset because I think today, intuitively, when people think about control, governance, regulation, people intuitively just feel like it's going to slow them down. But actually, from research, what we heard from customers is that if you do AI governance right and do it early, it can actually speed things up because you're taking a lot of like the vagueness of like what you can do versus cannot do out of your process, and also you avoid a lot of like duplicative work or just unnecessary changes later on just to be compliant with something. So along those lines, when you do have the proper tool to help you with that process, so of course, AI Control Tower is a great example. It can actually speed things up and drive AI adoption across companies.
So we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about how we learn how to use ServiceNow with ServiceNow University. And joining us is Tori Morrison, who's going to walk us through why this all came about and just the best features to get ServiceNow University to work best for you. Tori, it's so great to have you here. Please introduce yourself and your time here at ServiceNow and what ServiceNow University is all about.
So I'm Tori Morrison. I'm a senior UX researcher on our customer and partner experiences team. And our research team is a little bit different than some of the other research teams because we're focused on the enablement tools and resources that you might have rather than like the product itself. So I'm focused on ServiceNow University, and that's the place where customers, partners, and folks who are not yet in the ServiceNow ecosystem, who have aspirations of getting into the ServiceNow ecosystem, can go to learn more about ServiceNow, grow their career, get certified, and also get your hands dirty in things like lab instances where you can actually um, get some sense of getting into the product and learning through ServiceNow.
Walk us through that idea of enablement, because that's such a great term that it's not learning. It's different. Before we get deeper into it, can you kind of walk me through the differences between the difference that enablement is as opposed to other types of learning?
Well, one way we've been thinking about it with ServiceNow University is this idea of skills. So you'll see this introduction of skills throughout the site. And it's really about building those skills. So we're making sure that every course, everything that you're doing is tied to these specific skills that enable you to do what you need to do on the ServiceNow platform. So whether you're an end user, whether you're someone who's building out the platform or implementing it for your company, there's specific product areas or skills that you're going to need to learn to do that. So um, ServiceNow University is all about enabling folks to do what they need to do in order to implement ServiceNow or, use it the way they need to.
Well, so that brings up that question I'm sure the users have is, what is the right path for me or the right journey for me? Is that the correct way of thinking of it?
So one thing that we hear all the time is that we have a ton of great resources. We have a ton of great um, tools and things out there, but it can feel like a lot to sift through. And everyone has their own specific needs of what they're trying to do and what they're trying to learn. But it can be difficult to figure out what exactly is right for you at a given moment. And we have some kind of guided things like career journeys that are more broad. But also, if you're a customer just trying to get in and learn about a specific area, it can be hard to find that or figure out if it exists or if it doesn't exist. So what we're trying to do is also guide folks to the right learning at the right time.
So when a customer or a partner comes to the ServiceNow University, they've got a new way of looking at this. Is that correct? Is that something that the researchers helped to define?
One way that ended up getting implemented within this new launch of university that happened at Knowledge was through a conversational AI chat, and that AI chat gives folks the ability. It's powered by Now Assist, and it gives folks the ability to get personalized recommendations into learning, and it's also conversational, so you can tailor that recommendation towards what you need. If you're not getting the right thing, you can talk back to it and try to tailor it down to what you're looking for.
Well, talk to me more about that research process because that's always fascinating to me. And I think anybody who's done any dabbling when it comes to user research or user experience, it's a totally different world of how things work.
So this was a really exciting research process. We incorporated research throughout many different stages of the design process. So it kind of started with discovery, just understanding who was coming to the university site, what these different types of users looked like, and how they're using it. And then we started out with more kind of like low fidelity wireframe sort of bare bones sort of things to share with folks just to get gut checks of, are we on the right path? Are we going in the right direction? And then as decisions were made throughout the process and things became more clear cut, a little bit more defined, we had more touch points with users along the way. So it was really about every month or so we were meeting with a group of folks and getting insight into the directions we were heading in and the different decisions that were being made along the way. And that all led up to the launch at Knowledge this year.
All of us have used an e-learning tool at one point, and with ServiceNow, we're taking it to a new and exciting level. What were some of the issues that you found in your research that we really wanted to help solve to give our learners a better experience?
So I think one of the key aspects is personalization and customization. And I think there's just this expectation with kind of many tools that you use these days, especially, outside of work, in work, that you want them to be personalized to you, right? So one of the ways that we're trying to do that is through more personalized recommendations. And one thing that we also heard about these recommendations is that folks want some insight into why you think this is a good learning for me. So we don't want to just see like, hey, this is recommended for you. You also want to get some insight into why do you think this would be applicable to me or why do you think it would be an important piece of learning for me? So folks wanted some insight into why they should take that learning. And you can see that in our AI chat today that any recommendation you get is showing you why that recommendation is being made for you, usually because of, some past learning that you've taken that's in a similar vein or other interests you might have based on your learning history.
I want to ask you another question too, because I know this comes up a lot, and it's kind of a new way of looking at learning. This idea of gamification. And that's making it much more exciting and dare I say it's fun. When it came to talking with users and researching with them, um, what was their feedback when it came to gamification?
Yeah, I got to talk to a lot of folks about this topic and idea and it can be a fun one to talk to talk about, but folks also have some interesting and strong opinions in this area too. I think, folks, they don't want gamification to be arbitrary or, like, meaningless. They don't want just there has to be a delicate, balance struck between how easy it is to get points or to reach milestones. There needs to be a good amount of effort that needs to be put in to get to those higher levels to really make it meaningful. So those are some of the things that I heard from folks, and they also wanted ways to set goals and against themselves and compete against themselves more than they wanted some like arbitrary competition sort of thing. So you'll see we have the levels in university that go from newbie to legend. And what I'm hearing from folks is they like setting their own milestones upon those levels and saying, "Hey, I want to get to this level by this date," and that'll help motivate them along their learning journey. And it also includes contributions both from community and from learning. So you have different ways that you can kind of get up the levels, get up the ranks. And it's a really great motivator to continue on and continue gaining those ServiceNow skills.
Yeah, I have to do a shameless plug here because I know it's becoming a new thing, but not every company is like ours at ServiceNow, where we get time spent or time sent to us on our calendars to sit down and learn and develop. And this idea of learning and development is becoming so popular and so required with a lot of companies that this idea of creating a university internally and externally has to be a really amazing thing when it comes to talking with potential users. I want to ask you, what were some of just the initial thoughts when you were asking people this? What was their kind of gut reaction when it came to just this idea of new ways of learning?
Yeah, I think that the traditional way of just sitting down for a long time and spending a lot of time going through learning is just harder and harder. I think folks always want, ways to complete more kind of bite-sized learning pieces when they can. They like the idea of our on-demand learning because they can do it on their own time and schedule time for it when it works best in their own calendar. But it just, yeah, I think with all the many things that folks have to juggle, it's really difficult to put learning at the top of that list. So we're always trying to think of ways to keep learning top of mind and making sure you're continuing along that journey while you're juggling all these other things in your life.
So there is a little bit of behind the scenes into the user experience research world here at ServiceNow. And Jesse, where can we find out more information about UXR and this whole idea of user experience research?
Yeah, well, one place you can look is we have a blog published by our the team leader, Anand Tharanathan, leads our team at ServiceNow. He published a blog that highlights the case studies you heard today. So that link is going to be shared in the show notes. So go ahead and check that out. But also, if you are a customer and you hear these case studies and go, "I want to be one of those people that is impacting the future of the products I use every day," please sign up for Product Lab. That is our panel of customers that participate in research sessions. There will also be a link to sign up for Product Lab in the show notes as well. So we'd love to have you on board.
Oh, that's awesome, because I know this is the exciting part where we get to go and go, "I want to make this better. Where can I find the place to do that?" So I want to thank all of our guests today, Jesse Livingston
Thank you so much.
and Eric Leo,
Thank you for having me.
and last but not least, Tori Morrison.
Thank you, Bobby.
And I'm your host, Bobby Brill. And if you've got any more questions about ServiceNow or ServiceNow University or just how this world works, head over to servicenow.com. Thanks for listening.